In this short video, we'll be showing you more of the actions you can take to support native bird life in your area. This time, we'll be focusing on two of the things you can easily provide for birds to use and enjoy: bird baths and nest boxes. Here's Dr. Holly with a couple of different bird baths that we've got set up at the BirdLife Australia Discovery Centre. What can you tell us about bird baths, Holly?
Well, they're a fantastic way for providing a really important resource for birds, and that's water. And of course, birds are after water to drink and to have a bath in as well. So here at the Discovery Centre, we've got a couple of different types of bird bath. This is the pedestal bath, and it's, probably the most common one that people know. Here at the Discovery Centre, we see magpies and currawongs mostly using this bird bath. The one on the floor there next to your foot, that's a simple saucer that gets sat on the ground here, and we get crested pigeons and red-rumped parrots, so the kind of things that move around on the grass. They like to come and use that one. And we've just actually bought a new bath, and this is a hanging bird bath, and we're about to install it in the tree, and we'll be really interested to see exactly what type of birds come and use it.
If people want a bird bath, Holly, how do they get hold of one and how do they install it and look after it?
Well, it's easy to get a bird bath from any nursery or homewares store. You can also make your own. So use some recyclable material and cobble together your own bird bath, or simply just use a saucer on the ground like we've used here today. Make sure though that when you're putting it somewhere, you think carefully about the best place for your bird bath. On a school ground, of course, there's going to be lots of kids, it's going to be very noisy. So actually putting your bird bath somewhere where it's a little bit quieter is going to help the birds. They're going to be a lot more comfortable, and it also means you might get some different birds, some of those shyer birds using them. That's especially important if you're putting a saucer on the ground. So think about having that close to some bushes in a nice quiet part of the school. Also make sure that you're keeping the bath really clean. So somebody needs to be in charge of emptying the bird bath and filling it back up again every day or every couple of days.
The next thing we're going to look at is nest boxes. A nest box is a bit trickier than bird baths, Holly?
Well, they can be, but that's not to say if you don't do your research and make sure you maintain the box after it's up that you can't get birds in them on your school grounds. The first thing you need to do though is really decide which sort of birds you want using your nest boxes. Different birds will use different shaped ones. So we've got some examples here. This is an Eastern Rosella, and it uses a typical parrot-shaped box. It's the one that you tend to see all the time. The kookaburras, on the other hand, they use a box that's quite long, so a very different shape. So you really need to do your research and see which ones you want to have on your school grounds. So there are a whole range of different materials that can be used to make nest boxes, not just timber. You can also use PVC piping to construct a round nest box that lots of parrots will like to use. And don't even think that you've got to attach a nest box to a tree. You can even put them on any sort of pole around the place, and birds will hopefully find and use it.
If you've decided that you want to get some nest boxes, Holly, how do you actually go about getting hold of them?
Well, there are a few different ways. If you go to the Birds in Backyards website, you can actually download plans. So we've got a guide for nest boxes for about 13 different Australian native birds. You can print them off, and it's got the plans themselves. It's also got how to put them together, as well as how to install and maintain them. So all that information is there for you. You can also maybe talk to your local men's shed or other community groups like local scout groups, and they might be able to lend you a hand at building some boxes.
Once you've got your nest box or nest boxes, how do you get them where you want them?
Well, it can be really dangerous. We don't want everybody grabbing a nest box and climbing 5 metres up into a tree to attach it. You've got to do things carefully. So make sure you work with your general assistant. They're likely to be the ones that are going to be doing the installation. They can use all the right equipment, they've got their ladders, and they'll be able to safely install it. There are different ways to attach the nest box to the tree, but you're likely going to be using something like wire with some garden hose threaded around it, and then that goes around the back of the tree branch and secures it nice and tightly. Make sure you're also facing the nest box away from the prevailing winds and away from the direct midday sun. And also include things like drainage holes, of course, in your nest box, because it's going to rain and you want to make sure the water can escape.
Right. And what do we need to know about looking after nest boxes, or do they just look after themselves?
Oh, definitely not. That's the big thing. You need to maintain and you need to monitor your nest box. Some birds will try and get in there that we don't want in there. So that's your Indian miners and your starlings. They're introduced birds. We don't want them breeding in there. So you need to make sure that you keep an eye on your nest box. If they try and take over, someone, so the general assistant most likely, is going to have to go up and get the nesting material out. And make sure you monitor too, because you want to know that your fantastic birds are actually in there and using it.
Hopefully we've given you some tips about how to help native birds in your local area. Remember, with a little bit of time and effort, you can really make a difference. So go for it.